Hello, my name is Emily Achieng Akuno. I'm glad to be able to talk to you briefly, and I want to thank you for the invitation. Allow me to share my screen so that I can be better guided in what I am saying. First of all, I'd like to thank you very much for the invitation to come and be part of your Congress. I also appreciate the relationship that you continue to have with ISME. As you may know, we have the COPA, the Council of Professional Associations, and they're poised to take up a role that I think will help ISME be more relevant to the different members. And we count on societies that are representative of regional music educators for an agenda and a direction on how we can make members value ISME more. So I'd like to thank those of you who are already members of ISME. And for those who are not yet members, I wish to invite you to visit the ISME website and just see if you cannot find a reason to be part of this global community of music education practitioners. But I also want to thank the researchers who started this music education research journey before us, because they have given us questions to answer. And they've also given us some resources that we use for negotiating those questions, resources like the theories and the methodologies. So I thank the senior researchers world over for working with us, for working in a way that gives us something to do. They've given us a vocabulary, but also there are musicians out there whose works we can now look at to help us decipher what music is all about. Music education has often been called upon to justify its existence. And by extension, that calls on music educators to justify their existence, our role, and the importance that we make in many areas of human existence. 2019 into 2020 has really shaken our concept of who we are, why we are here, and how we are to survive. And this happens in many spheres of life. As individuals, we have probably looked deeply within us for meaning. For those who are spiritual among us, we may have been drawn closer to our spiritual stronghold, while others could probably have fallen away, finding or thinking that they have been betrayed. As music educators, we have to look in and see who we are, look out and see where we are, look up and see where we are heading to, and look down to see that we are grounded in order for our in, out, and up views to make sense. The question is, what is our pillar as music educators? What is our anchor? On what do we base our music education practices? How strong is that foundation in the event that the pillars are shaken? Can we stand strong, or even after falling, can we dust ourselves up, pick up our broken pieces, and put them together to start a new journey of being useful, being relevant? The call for adaptability and resilience in music education is stronger now than ever, because music and music education must provide ways of reasoning, must provide ways of understanding, and ways of coping with the realities of our existence at all times. I admire the fact that you, in the Spanish Music Education Association, you have sustained your focus by holding this Congress. Even though it is held virtually, the fact still remains that you have held it. Considering that virtual is the way through this period of isolation, your move is one that many must and have engaged in. so that there is as much normalcy as possible. However, if normalcy means complacency, then I think we must make a big shift, because music and music education need to provide many solutions to the challenges of everyday existence. I look at your conference sub-themes and I admire the inclusivity that they offer for those in practice as well as those in education, etc. I have the choice of looking at these statements as challenges, but I've decided to look at them as opportunities so that I can think briefly to what I have seen reported of music educators' resilience and creativity world over. Let me just mention a little bit of a concept that I have toyed with for some time, and I call it the CI model of creativity, the culture information model of creativity. What am I talking about? In this model, the model states that creativity is the way out of the culture information conflict. That culture being defined as our way of doing things, it is that which is monomal. It is our worldview, it is our thinking, it is our procedures, our materials that we employ to relate to ourselves, to others, and to the environment for survival. It is that which is common to us. But information is that which causes disruption. Could be a new curriculum, could be new technology, and today it is a new infection. This information demands a shift in relationships, in engagements, and might actually totally cripple or annihilate cultures. That is a challenge. But the way out is to go through the situation by devising ways of engaging that maintain the substance and essence of who we are. To that end, we must know what it is that makes us us, so that we never lose that essence, even if we must leave behind its coating or its covering. We are often forced to peel off certain dispensable layers, but we must find ways of not compromising the essence of our identity. What has that got to do with music education? The music educator is an actor in a field that has social, spiritual, and economic significance to humanity. For cultures world over, music serves as a vehicle for expressing, documenting, auditing, and reflecting upon who they are, because it is an emblem that contains symbols of humanity. The sounds, idioms of rhythmic and tonal nature, all of these speak to years of communication among the users of those sounds in various contexts. And so for many, music is a quasi-sacred activity because it says so much about the individuals that make it. Now coming to our times, I mentioned earlier that all these items, the various statements that you have made, can be looked at as challenges, but I decide to consider them as opportunities. And the first that I want to talk about is a question. What happens when music cannot be made or cannot be taught? And clearly that would be a threat to human existence in a way, because the basics of expression, reflection, and identification are disrupted. The music educator must be creative to get humanity out of this predicament, because music education must, in essence, continue. We have heard stories of sad musicless peoples, and we've read about the changes that occur on individuals that are brought in contact with music. Music is an essence of life and living, whose continued existence we, the music educators, are responsible for ensuring. And it is not just a matter of existing, there must be quality and meaning to it. I will therefore look for the opportunities that we may consider from the point of some of the sub-themes of the Congress. The first is COVID-19 and other challenges. The most present challenge or disruption that is right in our face right now is COVID-19. However, there are other forms of threats that may be as real as, if not more devastating than COVID-19, though they may not be global. Some of these are political, some of these are security, others are economic, ideological, etc. But I think one that we don't think about too much is our personal attitude. For as long as one is committed to a cause and convinced of its significance and the value of their role, one can see more opportunities than setbacks, because each hurdle becomes a stimulus for initiating change in the form of a creative response. External disruptions exist, but our internal strength or lack of that strength determines our progress in the face of challenges. I see COVID-19 as opportunities. I want us to consider what opportunities there may be. It has proved to be that in terms of innovation for teaching and learning, it has proved to be an opportunity in terms of innovation for teaching and learning. Apart from the online platforms that have been adapted or developed, the individual educators have had to, hopefully, think more about learners as individuals with very particular strengths and abilities, and therefore needing very specific support to succeed. It has been very clear that a collective called learners is really deceptive, and that learning is a very individual matter in any classroom. Perhaps we have also discovered that a learner seems to transform when the learning environment changes, that their fears become more palpable and their joys more pronounced, that there are no security blankets that can cover our own shortcomings as teachers, and that we really must know our material in order to engage learners meaningfully. We've probably also discovered that preparation for lessons is much more involving than we have perhaps taken it in the past, because of the possibility of having somebody else looking at what we are doing. In short, accountability and standards have become more of our constant companions. They need to be fed, they need to be attended to. And so each teaching moment is open to scrutiny. We've also probably discovered that teaching is very exhausting, because one must constantly think on their feet, because even the most prepared for class still has the potential to go south instead of the chosen and hoped for direction that we wanted. We have seen the challenge of distance versus the blessing of technology. The issue of internet connectivity and therefore access to learning and their applicable methodology. Teaching now demands a very clear articulation of instructions, but also very clear demonstration of procedures. The music teacher must be very articulate. We cannot hide behind being a good performer, but yet we must also be very good at communicating technique. So we should be able to manipulate the sound source. It is not enough to tell a student what to do. It is important to show them how to do it. And at times, we must present what they should expect to hear. Rote learning has taken on a front seat once more in some instances. We've also noted the need for resources, and this includes the human resources, the good model to be emulated, and artists in the field perhaps now see the value of attaching themselves to learning programs or to learning institutions. The resources also include literature that captivates, especially when a student is not practicing for a foreseeable project like a concert. So you need to motivate your learners to keep learning for almost nothing, really, if they're used to learning a piece for a show, whether the literature is audio or in print, or sometimes both. But we also think of resources in terms of attracting instruments and equipment, things that are aesthetically appealing, instruments that are serviceable, instruments that are functioning, or at least tunable at the bare minimum. The other issue is conceptual considerations here. We need to have a very clear understanding of what it is that we are doing in the name of music teaching. This is a challenge to our concept of teaching and learning, the reason why we teach. This reason will keep music in the school and in human life, despite the clearly very serious concerns that we all have about health and the basics of life at this particular time. Can music compete? Probably not. But can it be presented as a component of that life, as an avenue to ensuring quality of that life? I think so. Not as an add-on, but as a pertinent issue in the art and science of living. But how shall we do this? Our philosophy of music education may have been tested or shaken or strengthened in the past few months, and I really hope that having been shaken and tested, it has now been strengthened. I think we start by positioning music as a human experience, and as educators and education planners, making music so integral to human development that no planning can proceed without it. We then conceptualize music education in ways that make it accessible to all, doable by all, achievable by all, while keeping space for professional engagement for an elite teams. One of the tenets of music education in several pre-colonial African communities is its focus on training the individual either with or through music, which is general music education, or towards being a professional musician. The two strands have remained useful because life's activities include artistic moments in which everybody participates. And so, for full participation, one needs to know how to meaningfully and beautifully engage in the activity. The capacity to respond to and with music is therefore necessary and should be inculcated in all members of society. So general music education is really something that we need to push for. Can we make this an aim of music education? So the challenges of COVID-19 and any other disruption are blessings that are camouflaged as responsibilities because they open our eyes to many possibilities. There are many success stories in this room, I believe, and it would be significant to appreciate them. The second subtheme is entrepreneurship and artistic empowerment. Art and the artist have a voice, and art has monetary value. The monetization of the craft is a call to reality of today's existence because there is professionalism in music study and practice. The process of pricing one's services or products can be daunting because for many musicians, we could simply have started off to do something that will bring us joy. To us, meaning is more valuable than money, but sooner or later, the need to succeed as a business entity presents itself. After a while, the delight of making music catches up with the need to make a living, and the two are not really mutually exclusive. A trainer once took us through an exercise where we would indicate where we were with respect to money or meaning in our arts experience and our arts practice. Which one was more important to us at that moment? And I think that music students need to be money wise. And so entrepreneurship must form a significant part of their education because business success is important in sustaining the practice. For me, entrepreneurship is not just about making good investments or business decisions. It is also about packaging the product. Meaning and money can meet. In East Africa, we have a Swahili proverb that says, kizuri chajiuza, kibaya chajitembeza, which means a good thing will sell itself, but a bad thing must be advertised. Let entrepreneurship inculcate in learners values that encompass aesthetics, ethics, and commerce. Business platforms have evolved with time. The data economy means that artists must know where to sell their wares, and they must know the format that their wares must be in for them to sell it appropriately. Entrepreneurship education means learning what counts in the industry, how to generate it, and how to package it for optimum gains. And then artistic empowerment demands that education instills in learners the values of content integrity, no shortcuts, no compromises on materials, and no shortchanging other artists to get a gig. The need for money should not lead to a compromise of standards, a thing that happens too frequently, I'm afraid, and not only with young artists. I think it happens all over. Your other point is arts, health, and psychology, and I will not say too much about this, but my take is that music or arts education is a holistic approach to the development of the individual. The physical, mental, and emotional health, as well as spiritual well-being, are served by and through engaging with music, apart from formal music therapy. One of the characteristics of children's songs is they're designed to fulfill various educational and socializing roles in a child. There are some words that are reassuring and are made to give the child emotional stability because of reference to people and things that are familiar to the child. Nobility is a quality that is inculcated through training and encouragement, reinforcement of that which is acceptable in the trainee, and discouragement of that which is found wanting or untoward. And so our education with music can contribute immensely to the quality of life when participation leads to good health at physical, emotional, and psychological level. You also talk about innovation projects and educational experiences. With the changing landscape of human existence, learning experiences are crucial as they open learners' minds and gives them the courage to be creative. We learn by doing to a very great extent in the performing arts. And so projects are a good context for development of skills and application of concepts. I think when left to their own devices, learners can be very innovative. How does the music classroom encourage this? The setting up of good learning experiences, environments, and teaching in ways that don't give learners answers, but expects them to explore their knowledge to generate solutions for matters in the practice will set learning in the right track towards innovation. There are different levels of music education and training, and this is something that is one of your sub-themes. Earlier, I indicated that music lessons are geared towards equipping learners with the know-how to occupy various roles in society. For some, it is to be knowledgeable and informed audience. For others, it is to be professional in the industry, while others still are to serve in other sectors of the industry value chain. These require different levels of training and education. A working knowledge and thorough understanding of the profession leads to the planning for education that provides avenues for engagement for the music graduates. We have music schools, academies, and other spaces. The training above happens in various types of learning spaces. The music schools, etc., are contexts for the development of human resources. The music schools are contexts for the development of human resource force for the industry. It is important that each type of institution develops its philosophy so that there is a matching of learners with institutions, considering where the learners want to spend their careers. I think I should be coming to an end. I know one of your sub-themes is the orchestral auditoriums and other pedagogical challenges. And these, I believe, are issues that you're going to be tackling as you go through the Congress. In conclusion, it is important that music educators bear in mind the end or the expected outcome of music education and the output of the teaching education endeavor. Learners often do not have a very fixed idea about their post-qualification engagement. I remember I have a first-year class and I asked them during that first lesson why they're studying music, what it is that they want to do at the end of the course. And when I meet them in fourth year at the end of the course, I try to find out if their thinking has changed. And for several of them, because of the exposure that they have had to the industry while training, their thinking actually changes and they start behaving as members of a segment of the industry, even while they're still studying. So it is important for us as music educators to think of the output of the teaching or the education endeavor, because we can shape our learners in the right direction. However, the facilities that we have for teaching and learning are often an impediment to good teaching and learning. The performing spaces are usually a motivation for learners. So what does that mean for us as teachers? That we need to create a conducive environment, a space that is going to motivate them, that is going to encourage them to want to do music, a space that is going to encourage them to think creatively and to make something meaningful out of their music training. Finally, our current times do not only represent challenges and hardships. I think they also present opportunities that as educators, we should use in order to shape learners' orientation for the industry that they are training to join. I want to thank you very much and wish you a very joyful Congress. I pray that your Congress will be beneficial to everybody. I trust that you will be able to have the different kinds of networking, different kinds of discussions, that as individuals participating in this, you will come out richer, you will come out with good experiences, and you'll come out with contacts that are going to help you in your journey as music educators and as music practitioners. Thank you very, very much, and all the best. Bye.